What if I told you the biggest mystery about Johnny Depp's love life might finally have an answer? Yeah, that sounds like a big deal, right? And honestly, that's exactly how it feels. For months now, the internet has been going crazy. People have been watching, guessing, and looking closely at every photo. Every time he showed up somewhere, every little thing, it almost feels like a real movie happening right in front of everyone. And then, after all that quiet time, all those rumors, all those questions, Johnny finally said something. And what he said didn't just answer questions. It actually made people see the whole thing in a completely different way. If you've been keeping up with this story, you already know how big it got. And if you haven't, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through everything one step at a time in a way that's easy to follow. And it'll feel like we're just sitting and talking about it together. Because at the center of all this is one simple question. Who is this mystery woman? Is she someone really special to him? Is she just a friend? Or is this one of those situations where the internet made up a whole big story out of almost nothing? And here's the thing. The answer isn't as simple as people thought it would be. But trust me, by the time we're done, you'll see why this story feels different from all the usual celebrity gossip. And there's one small detail that most people completely missed. A detail that actually tells you a lot more than you'd think. So stay with me, because we'll come back to that. Let's slow down for a second. To really understand what's going on now, you have to remember everything Johnny Depp went through over the past few years. It wasn't just a hard time. It was something way bigger than that. The court cases, the nonstop news headlines, all the media following his every move. It felt like there was no way out of it. Everywhere you looked, there was another update, another person's opinion, another big debate. And of course, a huge part of that was his very public situation with Amber Heard. That whole part of his life played out in front of millions of people. Every little detail was talked about. Every moment was picked apart. And whether people were on his side or not, one thing was obvious. He was dealing with a level of pressure that most people will never have to face. Now think about that for a second. Imagine going through something really personal and having the whole world watching, commenting, and judging you. That changes a person. It changes how much you trust people. It changes how you think about relationships, and it definitely changes how much of your life you want to share with everyone. So when all of that finally started to calm down, fans naturally got curious about what was coming next for him. Was he moving on? Was he starting fresh? Was he ready to let someone into his heart again? And that's exactly when the mystery started. At first, it was just a few times people spotted him out. Johnny was seen hanging out with a woman that nobody really knew anything about. There were no formal introductions, no real explanations. Just a few appearances here and there. But that was enough because these days, it doesn't take much for a story to blow up. One single photo can become a huge headline. A short video clip can turn into a whole made-up story. And that's exactly what happened. People started asking questions. Who is she? How did they meet? Are they dating? And before long, those questions turned into guesses and assumptions. Some fans were really excited. They wanted to see Johnny happy again. They wanted to believe he had found someone new. Others were more careful about jumping to conclusions. They weren't sure if it was real or if people were just blowing things way out of proportion. And then there were those who were totally convinced this was a serious relationship, even without any real proof. That's how fast everything moved. And through all of it, Johnny said nothing. No interviews, no statements, no posts on social media talking about the rumors. Just silence. And sometimes, silence makes people even more curious because when there are no answers, people just start making up their own. But then things changed. Johnny finally decided to say something, not in a big, dramatic way, not with some huge announcement or a shocking reveal, but in a calm, thoughtful, and very careful way. And honestly, that's what made it so powerful. Instead of adding fuel to the rumors, he went in a totally different direction. He made it clear that not everything in his life has to be explained to the public. He didn't play along with the idea of putting labels on things. He didn't confirm what people were hoping he would say. And he didn't deny things in a mean or harsh way either. He simply drew a line. And in today's world, that's actually pretty rare to see. He said that this person is someone important in his life, someone he cares about, someone who really matters to him. But he also made it clear that the relationship isn't what everyone was assuming it was. And that's where everything started to shift, because suddenly, the story wasn't about is she his girlfriend anymore. It turned into something deeper. It became about how someone who has been through so much is choosing to handle his personal life moving forward. And that's where that small detail comes in. The one that most people missed. Even though Johnny stayed away from labels, he didn't deny that there's an emotional connection. He didn't say there's nothing there. Instead, the way he talked about it suggested that something real and meaningful is there. Just not something he wants to put a name on in front of everyone. And that says a lot because it shows this isn't just random. It's not just some casual thing. There's something genuine there, even if it doesn't fit into the neat little boxes people expect. And honestly, that's what made fans stop and rethink everything. Instead of seeing it as just gossip, a lot of people started to see it as something more personal, something more human. Because at the end of the day, not every connection needs a label. Not every relationship needs to be explained to anyone. Sometimes things just are what they are. Now here's something really important that not everyone talks about. Johnny Depp has always been a very private person when it comes to his personal life. Even back when he was one of the biggest stars in all of Hollywood, he didn't constantly go around sharing details about who he was with. He kept things to himself. He only opened up when he truly felt comfortable doing so, and that hasn't changed at all. If anything, it's gotten even stronger after everything he went through. In recent conversations and interviews, one idea keeps coming up over and over again: being real and genuine. He's not interested in putting on a show for people watching. He's not trying to build some perfect image of himself. He just wants things to be real, and that includes who he spends his time with. There are also people who are close to the situation and believe that this mystery woman might have been someone who was there for him during his hardest moments. Someone who wasn't around for the attention. Someone who didn't want to be in the spotlight, but someone who quietly showed up when things were really tough. And if that's true, it actually explains a lot, because those kinds of connections are different from others. They're not built on excitement or people watching from the outside. They're built on trust, on really understanding each other, on being there when it truly counts. And maybe that's exactly why Johnny is choosing to protect it. Because not everything needs to be shared with everyone. Not everything needs to become a big news story. Some things are just better kept close and private. And honestly, that's something a lot of people can understand from their own lives. Think about your own life for a second. The relationships that matter the most to you, are they the ones you show off the most? Or are they the ones that just exist quietly without needing anyone else to approve of them? For a lot of people, it's definitely the second one. And that's exactly what this whole situation feels like. Now, of course, the internet is still the internet. Not everyone is buying it. Some people still believe there's a lot more to this story. Some think Johnny is just being really careful with how he words things. Others think he's actually hiding a much deeper relationship that he's just not ready to talk about yet. And honestly, both sides have a point. Because when you're talking about someone as private as Johnny Depp, it's not always easy to know the full truth. But maybe that's kind of the point. Maybe the whole idea isn't for everyone to know every little thing. Maybe the goal is just to live in a way that feels right without needing everyone else to weigh in on it. There are also rumors going around that this story might keep going, that Johnny might open up a little more in future interviews. Maybe not everything all at once, but a little bit at a time. And if that happens, it'll be really interesting to see how things unfold. Because right now, what we have is just a small peek, a tiny window into a much bigger picture. But even that small peek tells us something really important. This isn't about creating drama. This isn't about getting headlines. This is about someone choosing a different way, a quieter way, a more private way, a more thoughtful way of living his life. And that's why this story feels different from the rest. It's not loud. It's not a mess. It's not full of crazy twists and turns. It's calm, and in a funny way that actually makes it even more interesting, because we're so used to seeing celebrity stories that are packed with drama and fighting. So when something comes along that feels more down to earth, more real, it really stands out. And maybe that's the real reason so many people are paying close attention. Not because of the mystery woman, but because of what this whole moment actually means. A change, a shift, a different way of dealing with being famous, with relationships, and with keeping your personal life personal. So now, after everything we've gone through together, it really comes down to one simple question. What do you think is actually going on? Do you think Johnny Depp is quietly in a real relationship and just choosing to keep it to himself? Or do you think this is just a close friendship that the internet grabbed onto and turned into something way bigger than it really is? There's no clear answer yet, and maybe there won't be for a while. But that's what keeps it interesting, because sometimes not knowing everything is what keeps the story going. So go ahead and share what you think. I'd really love to hear your take on all of this. And if you enjoyed this kind of breakdown, there's more coming your way. There's another side to Johnny's story, his comeback journey. And trust me, it has some surprises of its own. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and keep watching, because something tells me this story is far from over.